Why do you think life is something that you can fail? Why do we think that life is some kind of chase or conquest or uphill battle that we have to fight? I've been scrolling way too much on social media recently, and obviously we know that scrolling on social media is really bad for your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health too. You probably shouldn't have that much blue light in your eyes before bedtime, but one thing that I notice over and over again is how much people overcomplicate life, how much people turn life into something that it shouldn't be, and how this fucks with us in ways we don't even realize or understand. I have quote unquote failed recently, where I had these really big goals and I was reaching for them, and it came to a point where my body and my mind couldn't handle it anymore. That I kept trying and kept failing and kept trying and kept failing and kept trying, and it just got to a point where it just seems stupid to keep rolling the boulder up the hill and you just give up. And I want to know why the giving up is considered a bad thing. Why is the failing considered a bad thing? Because we already know the perspective that when you fail, you gain lessons. And those failures aren't actually failures. They're just lessons in disguise that teach you more about life, so you can either try again at whatever you're doing and succeed the next time, or fail and learn again, or you can learn more about life and keep going. But what about the giving up? Another form of quote unquote failing is giving up. Like walking down a path far enough that you realize, hey, maybe this isn't the path for me. And then we stop the path. And then people around us are like, why did you stop the path? That was such a good path for you. You should have kept going. I don't understand why you quit. I don't understand why you stopped doing that. And it made me think, what if giving up is one of the kindest things we can do for ourselves? And I'm not talking about like things you know you have to do. Like if your health is in shambles and you know you have to take better care of yourself, or you will develop diseases, or you're fighting certain diseases and you know you should do certain things and you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to eat a bag of hot Cheetos. This isn't that kind of failing that I'm discussing. The kind of failing and giving up that I'm discussing is when you reach for something and you're going hardcore for something, and then somehow you find yourself in the middle of the woods and you're like, how the fuck did I get here? I don't like it here. I want to go back. I want to try something else. When did we stop looking at life as an exploration that we are allowed to change our route at any time, and we started looking at it as a conquest and a fight that we have to white knuckle our way through? And we are never allowed to change, never allowed to have a different interest, never allowed to change the course of our life on any given Tuesday. Human beings, at our core, at our very base, we're just supposed to be alive. We are just supposed to survive on this planet. If you go back to before civilization, when we were just caveman, our only instincts, our only job was to just keep ourselves alive. That was it. No fuss, no worry, no nothing. Just keep yourself alive. Obviously, keep yourself alive with saber-toothed tigers and mammoths, but that's a different story. Humans are survivors. Humans are tougher than we could ever imagine them to be. But as we evolved and we learned language and we learned civilization and we learned pants, we slowly evolved to think that life is less about exploration and more about conquest. And I've come to learn that the greatest moments of my life are when I throw myself into something. Like, let's say a little while ago, I tried to be a runner and I threw myself into it and I was having so much fun and it was so great. And I kept twisting my ankles and my ankles really hurt. So I taped them up. I did ankle strengthening and I went back out there and I tried again. And then I started getting really tired 24/7. So I'm like, okay, let's adjust our diet. Let's eat more carbs. Let's go back out there. Try again. And then I injure my back so bad that I can't walk for 4 days. Okay, let's take a little bit of a break. Okay, I get bronchitis. Can't go out there again. Okay, I get another lung infection. What the fuck? And then slowly, every single time you go out there, your heart starts to hurt and your brain starts to hurt and you get chronic migraines and you get chest pain and your whole body starts to hurt and you're like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this, but should I? And so you stop for a little bit and you feel like a failure because you're like, other people can push through it. Other people can keep going for it. Why can't I? Well, maybe because that's what they're supposed to do in this life, but not you. I think it's the same with relationships with people or with love. Some people just cross in and out of your life for a brief moment just to teach you something, but they're not the person that you're going to marry. And if you keep yourself in a relationship that kind of works, kind of makes you happy, but is ultimately also tearing you apart behind the scenes, that's a toxic relationship. And I've seen a lot of people do this with their life, where they're forced to go into something, or they force themselves to go into something, and they can't stop because it's going to be deemed as failing. And I ask you today, when in our evolution as human beings did we forget that life is about exploration? That life is less about winning and failing and conquering and accomplishing, and it's more about just finding what you love in this life and doing it forever. You can try something and you can see if you love it. You can try something out. But then if there's that weird feeling in your chest of misery, if there is that feeling like, I try so hard at this and it's just not working out, that I keep putting my all into this and I am getting nothing back from it, and I might be happy, but I'm not passionate. I might be happy, but I'm not in love with this. I might be happy, but I also secretly dread doing this. Then what the fuck are you doing there? I remember I sat in high school every single day, and I would hate high school so much. Every single time I would walk into that classroom, I just thought, this isn't where I'm meant to be. I don't like it here. I don't like doing this. I don't like sitting in these classes that feel boring and useless, because I don't think I'm ever going to go to college, and I don't think I'm ever going to get a degree, because it doesn't feel right. And everyone around me is like, but you're so smart. You're so smart and you get good grades. Why wouldn't you want to do something with this? And I'm like, because it feels wrong. It feels horrible. It feels awful. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but it's not this. Then I walk into my first ballet class, and immediately upon walking into my first ballet class, just something in my chest told me, this is what you're going to do with your life. This is who you're going to be. And then flash forward 9 years and I'm in Russia. So miracles come to those who follow their heart is a thing that I've noticed across the years. Those who were very passionate about something, it worked out for them. Those who were passionate went further than anyone else in the room, because I believe that passion is kind of like an ultimate energy source. That if you have it and you really love what you're doing, it doesn't even feel like work. You don't even get tired doing it. And I remember that feeling, especially with ballet, when it was like everyone else would be exhausted after rehearsal and I would still want to go back into the studio and practice, or I would want to do a workout after class because I just wanted to strengthen my muscles, or I would go home and I would watch ballets on YouTube because I couldn't stop falling in love with it with every single second. And coming back to the relationship analogy, it's kind of like that, where the person that you are going to marry, the person that you are going to be in a relationship with for the rest of your life, you will fall in love with them over and over and over and over again in every single little moment. So why wouldn't you wait to find the thing in life that makes you feel like that? And I understand that there's situational factors that go into it, like maybe your parents want you to have a specific job, or society deems that you do things a certain way, or even you have crazy high standards for yourself and you have to go and do this one thing and you force yourself into a box. And I mean, I'm passionate about being successful. I know that I want to be successful in this life. I know that I want to reach that point in that zenith of I feel stable, I feel happy, I feel like I've done something with my life. But I don't want to become successful through means that make me miserable. I don't want to drop ship. I don't want to scam people into buying things. I don't even want to go to fucking college and get a degree. I remember the day that I graduated high school, I made a promise to myself that I would never, ever force myself to go back into college. I think it was either Gary Vaynerchuk, who said, those who are artistic and creative, being in college will feel like a cage that will only get you in debt and make you feel miserable, or something like that. He was talking about how if you're a highly creative person, you will not like college even if you're smart. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now, because I'm in college right now and it just feels incredibly miserable. And the worst part is I'm the only one that's forcing me to be there. No one else is forcing me to be here. If I was to drop out literally today, no one would care. No one would care except me. But what I'm trying to say is that life is a lot less about achievement and more so finding the thing that makes you passionate and doing it for the rest of your life. Everything you do is like a relationship with another person. And Why would you force yourself into toxic relationships with your job? Why would you force yourself into toxic relationships with your hobbies? Why would you force yourself into toxic relationships with... Why would you force yourself into toxic relationships with the things you do if you wouldn't force yourself into toxic relationships with the people that you're with? What I'm trying to say throughout this entire video is that life is not something that can be failed. Life is just something that can be discovered. Failure isn't necessarily a part of the process. It's just, oh, took a wrong route. You can be apologetic for taking the wrong route. You can be apologetic for hurting people accidentally. You can be apologetic for accidentally wasting away your savings doing something that you didn't love. But I think most of humanity's problem stems from the path and the fact that people aren't doing what they're passionate about. They're doing what seems right. And then when they don't succeed at what seems right, they say that they're a failure, and then they let that eat them up inside, and then they walk around all miserable all the time and they don't know why. It's because you failed at something you didn't even like doing. I guarantee if you were doing the thing that you love, if you were doing the thing that you enjoy, you wouldn't fail at it a day in your life. You're just not where you're meant to be yet. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. Just gotta keep walking, folks. Just gotta keep walking down the path. Have a good day. Love you guys.